Hey there, your woodland nature geek here, and today I want to introduce you to the redback salamander, a small amphibian found in the northeastern United States in deciduous forests like the one I'm in right now. From feeding to breeding, the redback salamander leads a fascinating life that revolves completely around its ability to breathe. Now, in order to find redback salamanders, you've got to do some log flipping, so let's get right to it. Ah, here we go. There's a little guy. See if there's anybody else under here. Oh, I think that's it. Now that I've got a salamander, the first thing I want to do is I want to get my hands moist. The reason for that is that these guys don't have lungs. They breathe completely through their skin, which needs to stay nice and moist in order for them to do so. If this guy were to crawl around in my dry hands, he'd soon dry out and he'd have a hard time breathing. The first thing you'll notice is that this redback salamander doesn't have a red back. That's because the redback salamander occurs in two color morphs, one with the reddish-orange stripe for which the salamander is named, and this variety called the leadback. To keep their skin moist for respiration, redback salamanders spend most of their time beneath their hiding places of logs and rocks. On the wettest rainy nights, they venture out of their hiding places to go in search of their prey, such as insects and worms, and they'll do that in the leaf litter and sometimes climbing short plants. On less wet nights, they will confine their hunting purely to that damp leaf litter. And when things get even drier, they have to spend all of their time beneath their hiding places where food is really scarce. For the redback salamander, it's feast or famine. When hunting conditions are good, they gorge themselves so that when conditions are less favorable, they have fat reserves to see them through until the next rainy night. However, sometimes summer days are so hot and dry that these salamanders need to protect themselves by entering estivation. Estivation is a summer dormancy, much like hibernation is a winter dormancy. Redback salamanders hibernate too, so when you think about it, these guys are not awake for very much of their life. They're mostly active in the spring and in the fall. Most salamanders lay their eggs in water to keep them nice and moist, but the redback salamander belongs to a group known as woodland salamanders that spend their entire lives on land. So how do they prevent their eggs from drying out? Female redback salamanders lay their eggs right beneath the logs and rocks where they live and tend to them to keep them moist until they hatch. Unlike other salamanders who hatch from eggs and go through a larval stage in water, these young salamanders go through their larval stage while still in the egg and hatch out as miniature versions of the adults. Well, I think I've had this guy out long enough, so I'm going to go ahead and let him get back to his hiding place. Now, instead of me just taking him and putting him back where I found him and rolling the log on top of him, I'm going to go ahead and put the log down and let this guy go back under on his own so that I don't squish him. All right, little guy, come on this way. There, he's going to think about it. And there he goes. And there you have it, the redback salamander, a tiny amphibian whose life activities all revolve around keeping its skin nice and moist just for the simple act of breathing. I'll see you next time, but don't hold your breath until then.